Good morning. You all got really quiet, so it must be 8 o'clock. All of a sudden, hum in the room quieted down. Good morning. My name is Barbara Bynum, and I am one of the 4 forum facilitators, along with my colleagues, Julianne Biles, Kathy Hebers, and Phoebe Benzinger. And we're all here today. Fun. Speaking of being here today at 8 o'clock sharp, if you are a regular attendee or you're new to Forum, please be aware that this fall, we're going to try a 9 o'clock start time for the winter months. And that information is right on the bottom of every email that you get on Saturday mornings. If you don't get an email and you just saw this in the newspaper or somebody told you about it, if you see one of us afterwards, we can give you the information to sign up. And what that means is we send you an email every Saturday morning, and we don't use that email list for anything else. We've been asked to share it, and we always say, nope, sorry. So that's just an email between us, the 4 of us, and you. Okay, so this morning's program is the Montrose Library, and I'm super excited because I think the library is just an anchor institution in a community like ours, and our Montrose Library is no different. We kind of take them for granted, but when we hear more about them, we always learn something new. We say, oh, I didn't know our library did that. And we don't really think about what it takes for a library to operate. We just kind of assume it's there. We know it's funded by taxes or something, and we just expect it to do its job. But this morning we're going to hear from Paul Paladino, the library director, about what things our library does. And then we're going to hear from Emily Schneider, who is a former library trustee. And she is going to talk a little bit about citizens group coming together to ask voters for something this fall to help our library. So, Paul Paladino has been with the library district for 34 years. We're celebrating. I'm guessing the industry has a much higher turnover rate than 34 years. That's a long time. He took the job in Montrose because he wanted to be in this part of the country. He came from the Midwest, where he was a leader in his library, but not the director. So this was a big, exciting opportunity for him 34 years ago, and he has steadily steered the ship of the library during all that time. He says his favorite part is working with people, although most of his interaction with the public is when something isn't going right or something is negative. So he's, I think, would say excited to be here this morning in a positive atmosphere talking about the library. And then Emily Schneider is a woman of many hats, but she and her husband, Tom Wire, moved here 38 years ago, and she has been a local business owner and a very active member of our community. And just when you think that it's time to retire completely, she's taken on this role, although she has retired from her day job. So I'd like you to welcome both of them who are going to be presenting, and we're going to do all questions at the end.
Thank you very much, Barbara. I appreciate it. I tend to speak a little softly, so if I wander a little bit too far from the microphone, just let me know and I'll move it back up again. So one thing Barbara didn't ask me is what's my least favorite part of my job, and I would have told her that's the people too. I love to hear when my staff is echoing what I have told them in my own words and in their own words. Don't like it quite so much when they're, off on the ridge lines or going. I don't have ducks in a row. I have squirrels, and they go where they want. I consider my job I hire good people. I let them do what they need to do, and my job is to get them the resources that they need to do it with. So it's a lot of trying to herd squirrels so that we're all moving in the same general direction. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the library district today. We're about 2,400 square miles. roughly contiguous with the county of Montrose. There are 2 areas that don't belong to the library district, the mayor area on the far side of the Black Canyon and the town of Nucla. And when the library district was formed, Nucla opted out because Natarita joined. So those of you who aren't familiar with West End politics, see me later. And if you have, about 6 or 7 hours, I can try and explain at least my experience. We have several locations. When I first got here, we had 5 locations. We're down to 2 locations now. We have the Montrose Regional Library, which you're familiar with because it's right across the street, and we have the Natarita Community Library. We did have the Paradox Community Library, but that was in the Paradox Valley School. The West End School District had to shutter that school, so we don't have a spot there. So we'll talk about outreach a little bit later, and we take care of that area through outreach. We have a 7-member board, and I have at least 3 board members here today. So I appreciate you guys showing up and showing your support. We have Rachel Zetterstrom, and I thought I saw Stephanie. Stephanie's over there. And Michael. Michael's in the back. Thank you guys. It's good to see you. We've been seeing a lot of each other. We have a budget of $3.9 million. We have a staff payroll of a little over $2 million that we pump back into the local economy. So in addition to those 2 facilities, we have an annex facility, and at the annex we have our cataloging department stays there, and our head of cataloging services, Mary, is here today, checking up on me, I'm sure. They always have a spy in the audience. So the annex also houses our outreach department and half of our IT department. We have an IT department of 2, so half of them are out there. Our outreach department houses most of our fleet of vehicles. I didn't know when I joined or started library school that I would have a fleet, but I do. We have a 32-foot bookmobile. We have a 19-foot Sprinter van. The bookmobile deals primarily with children and children's materials. The Sprinter van deals a lot with seniors and goes to senior centers. We have 2 delivery vehicles, one here in Montrose, and we do home deliveries for people, something that we started during COVID. And we do deliveries in the West End. The West End's a little different. They also will deliver food through the senior meals and senior meal centers, and they'll take food out with your books, and they'll even pick up groceries for people. So the grocery store. So we try to maximize our services whenever possible, and that's a theme you'll see repeated often through the library. Is if we can do a little bit more work and add a lot more service, we try to do that all the time. We collaborate with lots and lots of different organizations. I'm trying to think of an organization in town we haven't collaborated with. Coming up a blank at the moment. We've even collaborated with a homeless group. We did some training together with the homeless group out of Grand Junction. So it's not just Montrose. So some of the exciting things we're doing, summer reading program. We're right in the middle of summer reading program. And if you stop in the library, you would know it because there are tons of people in the library for summer reading program. We have this year in the children's summer reading program, we have 772 kids signed up as of yesterday. So that beats last year. Last year it was right around 650. So lots and lots of kids in the library right now. Teens, we have over 100 teens signed. And seeing how way back when our first teen summer reading program was about 9 kids, we're really happy that the teen summer reading program has grown. We have an adult summer reading program. And the adults are a little behind the kids, but you know, that's typical. The adults, there's 115 adults in there. They've read a little over 2 books apiece. So the children's, we've already had to reorder. We give books as prizes to kids. I mean, that's how sneaky we librarians are. The idea is you read so many books and you get a book. So, but we've already had to reorder the giveaway books twice this year because the kids are just reading a ton. And I don't know about you, but I think that kids reading too much is not that much of a problem. Although my father, when I was a kid, would have disagreed because I remember I could hear this voice in the back of my head saying, "Get the heck out of the bathroom, it's time, I need to use it." But Dad, I haven't finished this chapter. So, one of the things that we do in the library, we have electronic materials, and I don't know if you know, but you can get downloadable books, downloadable audiobooks, and streaming movies through Kanopy. The downloadable and audiobooks are through an application called Libby. It's through a service called Overdrive. Excuse me, you don't need to know any of that. You just have to download Libby, put in your library card number and your password, and you're off. And if you can't remember that, you go to the reference desk like I do and you say, "I want to use Libby, how do I do it?" And they'll walk you right through it. So I just did that with Kanopy. So, and now I have access to all kinds of movies, documentaries, all sorts of interesting things. Let's see. Barbara, did you write this, the little upgrade or the little blurb for the thing?
I just use your website to pull some information about what you're doing.
Okay,
It may or
good.
may not be accurate, but it's based on your website.
It's based on my Okay, that's good. Because last night, as I was leaving the building, one of my staff pulled this off the internet and said, "Look at all the things you're supposed to talk about tomorrow." And I said, "Oh, I have these things to talk about tomorrow," and everything. But one of the things they talked about are building upgrades, and I think Emily will touch on this, but one of the things we said we would do is take care of some maintenance issues from last time. And I don't know about you, I was pretty excited when I saw my 10-ton HVAC unit flying through the air, going up onto the roof of the library. So that was a day, when that day was over and our 2 units were up on the library roof and the school roof together, that was a day I was very happy. Nothing came down. and broke. So, but we have done some building upgrades and a lot of things that aren't there's not much sizzle to them, but they're necessary. And now the library we don't have portable air conditioners running throughout the library. We have our new units are sized appropriately and are working appropriately. And it's been great not to have to talk HVAC at every board meeting by Emily. But the real big thing about the library are the people. As I said, the staff, I get compliments on the staff all the time. Now, occasionally I do get complaints, and I do deal with the complaints because as I tell my staff frequently, or tell people frequently, it's my fault. So whatever happens, it's my fault. But whatever goes well, it's really their fault. They do a lot of great things. They offer a lot of great services, some of which you heard from Emily in her presentation. But the staff offers, you can ask the reference staff anything. And I mean literally anything. And people do. And they find answers. They find the appropriate answer. You can go to Google and ask Google anything, and you'll come up with about 75,000 trillion hits. The librarian will find you the right answer. And I think I'll stop with that and let Emily take over.
Thanks, Paul. One of the things that made it really fun to be on the board was, is working with Paul. I mean, it's just been, I think I've seen him riled up once in all the years that I've worked with him. So, okay, so is this the one? Okay. Oh yeah, don't point it at the screen. So, as Barbara said, we're going to come to the voters this fall. This is a great time to come to voters, right? Okay. Well, we planned this long before Phoebe started her thing. Where's Phoebe? Anyway. So in 2017, the voters, all of you, approved an additional mill levy. Our basic mill levy is 3 mills. And that's gone on for years. But in 2017, we added an additional 0.85 mills for 10 years. And we committed at that point in time to achieving 5 different goals. And I think most of you remember what the first one was. That we were going to be open 7 days a week. Because we had been closed 1 day a week, and then we had to close a second day, and that was awful because we committed to being open 7 days a week, and we stuck to that. So then the second goal was to get a bigger materials budget. So we wanted more physical books and magazines and movies and CDs and that sort of thing in the library. And we also expanded into different kinds of things. So now we have a library of things. So you can rent a video camera or a blender or a sewing machine or all those kinds, and not rent, you can borrow. These are all borrowed things. So I don't know if you know that, but we also joined the Marmot Network. And what the Marmot Network does is gives us access to over 6 million products, 6 million books and movies and that sort of thing. And so that's something, so if you want to read, I don't know, Where the Crawdad Sings, but the waiting list is 273 people in Montrose, well, we can get it from the Gunnison Library or the Carbondale Library or something, they'll ship it over to us. And so that really makes our wait times a lot shorter. Maybe you've noticed that if you've reserved a book and suddenly, tomorrow it's here. So that's because we've joined the SMORMA network. And we talked more about expanding the library outreach. We didn't know what that meant at the time compared to what we know now. We just thought, oh, we're gonna add a van because our bookmobile can't get into the senior housing places. It can't get into Anciano Towers, or it can't get into all these places. So if we get a van, we can really do more things with our outreach. Little did we know that we were gonna start home deliveries and lots of other things that Paul talked about earlier. And we also wanted to improve our internet connections and our technology. You know, Barbara was telling us this morning that her husband never darkens the door of the library, but he reads 3 books a week. So, you know, that's the ability that we increased with this mill levy that we passed last time. So the fourth thing was increase the number of programs. We really wanted to expand what we were doing with the kids, you know, and Paul's numbers are kind of proof of how effective we've been with the kids. So the kids, you know, just, there's really a lot of fun programs for the kids. But the most exciting thing to me was the teen program. So the teens have really, well, first of all, they've taken over one section of the library, and you almost need an ID to get in there. But did you know that we have a teen advisory board, and you know, because teens love to tell adults what to do, and but they also produce a literary magazine every single year. And if you haven't seen that, you ought to pick one up if they let you into the teen section. And we added all kinds of interesting adult programs that you can, you know, that you can attend or not. There's the French Club, and there's the Hot Topics. What's that called? Great discussions. And then there's also one called the Death Cafe. So let me tell you, you know, I don't know what they talk about at the Death Cafe. I'm kind of scared to go, but I think people do attend that one. But anyway, so there's more programs for more of our patrons, and because we want everybody to feel welcome in our library. And we talked about, Paul talked about our fifth goal, which was the facilities. We increased the HVAC, and yes, if I never hear that 4-letter word again, I'll be okay. But we also replaced a lot of the carpets. We, you know, really cleaned the place up. It needed it. But the library annex is kind of our really special place. Paul talked about all the things it does. We store all of our vehicles there. We use that space to process all the books coming in and going out that belong to Gunnison Library and Carbondale Library and all those kinds of things. And so we need a lot of space to do that. The Friends of the Library, they have their space there, so the books you donate kind of get stored there, and then they go through them and have their wonderful book sales. And looking back on it, we purchased that building, which seemed like an outrageous price at the time, for $770,000. 9,000 square feet. There's houses that sell for more than that now. So I think that was a pretty good deal in hindsight. At the time, it was a little, you know, seemed a little steep, but it's been a great place for us to have, you know, to store our vehicles, store Paul's fleet, as they say. So the other thing that we're really focusing on is bringing the library to you. This was, you know, this is something that has really expanded because the opportunities arose for us to do that. So we use our delivery vehicles, you know, as Paul talked about, to not only deliver books, we deliver food in the West End. We are able to make more stops because we have a bigger variety of vehicles that can go to more different places. And then the next thing is the improved technology. So we have computers that are faster, that, you know, you can actually use them and you're not sitting watching the wheels spin. So we have really good electronic access. And we can use that technology to help supplement the schools. You know, whether the kids need to come in and do homework or that sort of thing, they need, we can help the school libraries. Well, we can help the schools during the summer, you know, the kids' reading programs. And we have, gives people more access to our collections. Paul talked about booking a librarian. You can actually go reserve a librarian and ask them questions. So what kind of questions do you ask your librarian? Well, you can do, you know, research on the Gunnison Tunnel. You can do research on, if you're a Spanish speaker, we have Spanish speaking reference librarians. And if you're a tech nerd like me, you know, you can take your 1909 Kindle in and ask them, how do I download Libby? Because it won't stay on here. But mostly what the staff does is it brings the library, they bring the library alive for our patrons. So if you go in there, you know, it's not the stereotypical quiet place. It's loud, it's noisy, there's kids running around, there's people that are laughing and happy, and the librarians do a great job of bringing whatever program it is to life. With the possible exception of the Death Cafe, I'm still not sure. It's grief recovery, is that what it is? Oh, okay, well that's good. Grief recovery, well it says. So remember COVID? We had this thing called COVID, and so that was a real challenge for all of us in so many different ways. But it was a real challenge for the library. But we learned so many valuable lessons during that time. We learned we had to respond quickly to our challenges. We had to learn, for example, how to disinfect books. We never thought about that before. We had to learn how to reopen our doors in 6 weeks. How do we make that work? How do we get people back in the library? Keep them, you know, keep people communicating with their books and with each other and so forth. And we learned that the library can expand its mission to address community problems. Paul talked about delivering food in the West End, but during COVID, we were able to deliver supplies to kids, but we also delivered food. Remember, the schools were closed, and for a long time the kids didn't have access to some of the food that they rely on through the schools. So we delivered packages of foods to families throughout the community. And so we learned that the library is not just a building. It's not just a place. That it is, what it really is a gateway to information, anything you want to learn. And so we had to learn really quickly how to think beyond our four walls of the library. So that was a big lesson for us during COVID. So the library, as we've talked about, is a vital community resource. It's free to use. Free. Well, except if you want copies, so those cost money. But there's no cost for any of the services or the programs or the books, unless you lose one. But so everything is, all the programs are free to all the participants, and we want to. That is, if you can, as a parent who used to pay for childcare a lot, if I could have my kids spend a couple hours at the library in the morning, that's worth real money to me. So we think that not only is it free, but it helps us save money on the other side. And Paul mentioned this, we have strong ties to local businesses, to the city and the county. We work with schools, we work with nonprofits, we work with senior groups, we work with all kinds of things. And we have educational programs for all ages, like Paul talked about. So we also recognize it as a place to welcome, gather, and gather and connect. Over in Natarita, we have recently set up a special room that patients can use for telehealth. They can go into this room, it's completely private, and they can communicate with their physician without having to drive over the hill to get here to Montrose or Grand Junction or wherever, or even to Denver. Some of you may remember that we had an opportunity to defend our free speech and First Amendment rights a couple of years ago, and the library staff and the community really held strong, and so we appreciated that. And again, we learned that the library can really respond quickly to the community needs, and so we're fairly small and nimble, and so when something arises like COVID, we can adapt really quickly and really well. So one of the things that we really want, that we're really excited about, is the library. You can now get your passport at the library. So not only can the library bring you the world, but it can take you there. So you can get your passport at the library. So far, we have processed over 3,700 passport applications. So that's and mine's one of them. It was such a pleasant experience as compared to going to the post office. So if you need to renew your passport, just call the library and they'll get you set up, and they're lovely people. So what are we asking for? We want to keep our library strong. Most people in the community really like the library, want to support it. We want to maintain our position as a strong community institution. We want to continue to provide services for all of our patrons. And some of those can get controversial, but we still feel it's important to service all of the people in the community. We want to continue support for outreach and innovation. We think this is just the tip of the iceberg where we are now, and that more and more, there's just way more opportunities out there that we're still learning about. And we want to continue to find those wonderful people to work in the library that make it all so wonderful to be there. And we're also going to probably need some more space for future growth. So, what are we asking for? In 2017, you voted for an additional 0.85 mils for 10 years. We're just asking we're going to ask this fall to just keep that extra mill levy in place. The mill levy that's being paid right now. Okay, any questions? I'm sure there might be some.
Okay, let me do my job of bringing around the microphone for questions. If you're new to forum, we always circulate a microphone, and that way everyone can hear your question, and it can be properly addressed. That way everyone knows what's going on. So, who's got a question either for Paul about the library operations or for Emily about the need to continue a mill levy?
So I use Libby all the time, but I think my last book came from Prospector. So can you tell me what Prospector is?
So Prospector is another service that we provide. It's primarily a group of research libraries, academic libraries, and larger public libraries. We just look and see where we can find the book that you want, and we have access. We pay for access to Prospector, we pay for access to Libby, we pay for access to Marmot, and so we just look and see where we can find it, and that's how we get it.
speaking of those services, it feels like a digital book should be free because it doesn't actually have pages and stuff. You laugh because it's my understanding it actually costs you more to make that Libby book available.
Yeah,
So can you talk, it doesn't just come down
I
to
wish
free.
Mary was still here. But yes, it costs us actually the same book for you, the same audio book for you. It might cost you $25, $30. It'll cost us a minimum of $80. And we can only use it a certain number of times, like 25 times. We can only circulate it 25 times and then we have to buy it again.
So you're not really buying it, you're renting it, aren't you?
We're renting it. It's the pricing model that publishers use for public libraries.
So someone like my husband, who doesn't ever go to the library, but is a voracious reader of digital books through your library, is actually perhaps one of your most expensive customers. Well, you might not feel that.
Probably not, but we think it's worth it.
Right. Great answer. Here, I'm gonna go front row and then that.
I'd like to know how you hate the library and if you have considered solar or heat pumps as an alternative to save money and help the world.
We have looked into solar for so many years. I mean, basically for the last 30 years. We've been looking into solar and looking into a way that's cost effective for us to afford it. One of the big, I guess, setbacks for us in affording solar is you get tax credits for solar, which is a great thing. I think it's a wonderful thing. The problem is the library is tax exempt. So we don't have any way to take advantage of tax credits for solar. So that's been a drawback. There has been some movement to basically for the government to pay the solar company directly. Those programs are kind of hit and miss. So, but it looked like it was getting better for a while.
Have you looked into heat pumps?
We did look into heat pumps. The time to install a heat pump was 27 years ago when we built the library. When we had the ground all torn up and all of the space there. But we're still looking at possibly retrofitting it. We will look very seriously at all those different options. As Emily mentioned, we're out of space at the library. I mean, the annex was a holding measure for us, and we've moved a third of our staff out to the annex. So, because we have no room to grow for staff. And let me tell you, we moved a third of our staff out to the annex. We can do passports now. We have room to do passports because we moved staff. And passports are way back in a storeroom right now. So yeah, it's space is an issue for us. But if we did something, a new building down the road sometime, we would look into solar heat pump technology. The Natarita Library has heat pump technology. So, and we're exploring solar.
Ask. Gotta just ask.
Paul and Emily, that's a great presentation. So back in 2017, the library asked for 0.85 mils for keeping up operations and things like that. I assume that 0.85 has been folded into your overall operating costs, right?
Yes.
So if that goes away, what negative effect is that going to have on the library?
So we would go back to pre-2017 operations. We'd probably be closed 1 to 2 days a week. We would probably need to cut our materials budget. At that time, we cut it by a little over a third. Reduced hours, those are the two big items we have control over. We can't really go to DMEA and say, I need to cut my budget, I need to pay 80% of my utility bill. DMEA will say, that's great, we're gonna cut 100% of your service. So, there are just limited things we can do, and hours and materials and people are what we would have to cut.
All right, so I have a question. Actually, I have four. Are you ready?
You'll be left, no.
I mean, you can swing back around. One, do you guys still charge fines on overdue books? Because that used to be all my allowance I would pay. And do you have a notary service there available at the library?
Let me answer, no, your allowance is safe with us.
Okay.
We don't charge fines or fees. We discovered two things. First, fines are a big barrier to particularly children on the lower socioeconomic strata of the population, to them using the library. The parents would come in, they'd say, oh, you've got $3 in fines, you're not checking out books again. And so we got rid of fines. We also discovered that we were spending way more money in collecting fines than we were in the fine money that we received.
Sure.
So,
And no to a notary service in-house?
And no to a notary service. Notary service is the notary. How do I say? Notary service is very personal. To become a notary, you expose yourself to a certain amount of liability as a notary, and it's not something that the library can say, hey, Emily, you need to become a notary. That personal liability, it's more of a personal decision, and so we don't offer
Sure.
notary service.
So just a couple things I would like for you to tell the audience that one of my favorite programs you guys have yearly is your permanent book fund program, and how you become a part of that, and that you have rooms to rent. I mean, those little rooms off the side,
Sure.
not just your community room, but you've got little rooms for small groups to rent, and that meets a really critical need when you have a really small time to meet with people. Yeah.
Yeah, and all of our meeting space is used a tremendous amount. They're used almost constantly, and we have rooms for 4 to 6 people. We have rooms for 2 people, and if we had more space, we'd fill that up as well. What was the first? The permanent book fund. We did a program a number of years ago about a permanent book fund, and for $2,500 you become part of an endowment through the Library Foundation, and we use the interest off of that money. Our endowment is currently upwards of around $900,000, and we use the money to buy books every year. We do a book, we call it the unveiling, because we can't think of a new name. It's been going on long enough, and we're all tired of unveiling. What are we going to call it? And everybody says, I don't know. Okay, it's the unveiling this year. So it's a great time, and people come, and we put a little list and pull some of the books that we've purchased throughout the year, and people have a good time.
It's really great. I think it's a great collection of people, when you get to see other people who really support the library, and you also, if you have a book fund, you get to designate if you want your book fund to have a particular area of interest, or you just want the library to purchase materials that they need. But our family book fund goes to young adult books in that teen section, and it's really fun to see the books that the library chooses every year at the unveiling, and to see what other families and people have chosen books. So we kind of ask usually our guests not to ask for money or volunteers. So maybe Paul was kind of avoiding talking about the book fund, but I'll put a plug in for it. It's really cool. Okay, I think we've got a question right here.
So when is the election, and what else is on the ballot? And are you going to run a campaign similar to 2017, which I think was the third try to get that one passed, or second try? Okay.
The election, the date is November 4th, is that right? It'll be on the same ballot as the recall. And yes, we plan to we are launching the campaign right now. So yes, if you'd like to be involved, we'd love to have you participate.
Okay, I think I saw a hand back here, right?
I'm just curious, where's your annex?
It's north, what's that road, 65? It's an old General Industrial Diamond building. It's north off of, it's off of the bypass, on the way to 6450 road.
But it's not open to the public, like I wouldn't need to go there.
Right,
Like,
no.
If I'm in a hurry to get a book that's coming, I can't go there, like UPS, bang on the door.
You could, and they'd say, what's this crazy lady doing out here? But no, it's not designed for public use. It's just a giant workspace, but it's very effective and very efficient for us.
While I walk across the room, I'm going to tell you that I remember my very first summer reading program when I was little at my neighborhood library, and the book was called The Carrot Seed. It was a little board book. So I don't know why I remember that, but very clear.
Point of clarification. Phoebe mentioned those rooms are for rent, and it was my impression they're available for free.
Yes, they are for free. So we don't, as Emily mentioned, we don't charge for most services. Basically, we do cost recovery for copies, pays for our paper and our ink and rental of the units, but otherwise we're pretty much free.
And the community room seats how many, Paul?
Officially, the community room seats 58.
Is it pretty busy? Is it pretty much booked?
It's booked nearly all the time.
Oh.
Wow.
So this is more a comment, not a question, but at one time I was helping the Northside School Library remodel their library, and their librarian had so many books that she just loved, refused to get rid of. And I kept going, you gotta get rid of some of these books, you gotta get rid of them. So finally, I got Jerry Gillum, who is your children's librarian, to come one day and spend an afternoon going through books. And I remember it was it was fun to watch because Jerry would pull books out. She'd go, every book has some dignity. And when it's falling apart, it's losing its dignity. So you have to get rid of it. And she went through that whole library as your representative. I'm sure it was on her own time, but it was life-changing for that library and that school, and it was fun to watch. And now I look at books with such respect, like they do have some dignity. You can't treat them like this. They can't be falling apart and still on the shelf, yeah.
And they actually get more, your library will get more use if it's not as crowded.
Right. Okay, I see a few more questions. I'll bring those over.
More curiosity question. Of your readers, what percentage would you say are still using the physical book, reading an ebook, or listening to the book on recording?
So all I have are circulation numbers. About 75% of our circulation is physical books.
All right.
The other 25% is roughly split in half between ebooks and e-audiobooks.
How about, do a lot of people check out, I know you have like, do you guys have VHS and CDs?
We
and
don't have
DVD?
VHS. We
Good.
have DVDs.
DVDs, good, okay.
And we still have CDs. They're slowly going away. We're slow adopters of technology on the Western Slope. Most of the Front Range libraries have gotten rid of those physical formats. Cars don't have CD players anymore. And so they just go by the
So
wayside.
no more books on tape, you don't have cassette tape after cassette tape anymore? Do people still try and drop off VHS tapes?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, I bet they do.
What is the relation between Colorado Mesa University's building that's adjoining your building and the library?
So Colorado Mesa leases the space in what we call the Buell Center, the old Morgan School. They lease that space from us. And so we're their landlords. And Steve comes and tells me what a slumlord I am all the time.
Is the library physically, could it support a second floor, or was it not built to support?
It was not built to support a second floor. If I had my druthers, we would have had a parking garage and a second floor, but that wasn't in your cards at the time.
Makes sense. Okay.
You mentioned Libby a couple times, but I don't know what it is. Is it an app?
It is. It's an app. It's the app for Overdrive, which is electronic books and electronic audiobooks. So Libby is the app that we use to access those.
Just download it on your
And-
phone?
Just download it on your phone. It's available in the Google Play Store or the Apple Store.
And if someone wanted help, Paul, they could come into the
Yeah.
library, the reference librarian maybe would help them with that part, and then also be able to look up their password, which they might not know because they haven't needed it every time they check out a physical book.
Right.
Okay, we only have time for maybe a couple more.
You mentioned help with passports. Do you also have help with visas for different countries?
I don't believe we do visas. I think you have to apply, but it would be worth a phone call to find out. But I haven't seen or heard anything about visas.
Okay. Also, several years ago, you had a volunteer fair and had a lobby and the big meeting room packed with different groups who were having a need for volunteers. Have you thought about doing that again?
We have thought about doing that again. We're having a job fair coming up, but I'm not sure about plans for a volunteer fair. The person to ask about that would be Taylor at the reference desk.
Thank you, Paul. Let's give Paul a big round of applause.